So, a while back I made a video about rigging and how to do basic rigs, but this is kind of branching off from that a little bit. This is about a little add-on I found called WIGGLEBONES. If you don't know how to install add-ons, I'll leave a little guide in the description if you want. But first of all, I'm gonna go over how to use the WIGGLEBONES add-on. And basically, what this does is it's kind of self-explanatory, but if you still don't really understand it, then I'll kind of explain it as we go. So you'll notice I've built a little chain here. This will work with things like tails, and even with hands, like with hand or leg movements, or basically any movements, it makes them seem more realistic. So first of all, this only works in pose mode, so you can't do this in edit mode or object mode. So make sure you're in pose mode for your bones, sorry, for armature. And you'll notice here it says the scene is muted in the animation tab once you've downloaded it, the add-on. Now you want to unmute the scene, and then what we're going to do is we're going to select all of these bones. So all of the bones except for whichever one you want to be the root, which is going to control all of them. And then you click on bone tail. Now what this does is it automatically gives these default variables to these bones, and you'll notice that if we move it around, it does nothing, and that is because we're not moving through the timeline. So once we start moving through the timeline by pressing spacebar, then it'll work, but it won't. Now this is a common error if it just won't, because maybe you've applied, because here's what I've done wrong. I've applied the bone tail to the roots, not these. Or I have to these, but not there. Yeah. So it should work now. Yeah, there we go. Make sure that your root hasn't got bone. Make sure one bone in your armature has hasn't got uh. Okay, so we can leave this running, and if we move it around, you'll notice that's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. Now, maybe you don't like how springy it is or whatever, and this is what most of this video is going to be about. It's going to be about you know, customizing the different attributes. So what we're going to do is we're going to select all the bones that are affected by it, and let's go over this. I don't really know what mass does, but let's try turning that up. And if we go to here, play it, I guess it increases the mass of it, something like that. You can experiment with this a lot more. This is just going to be very quick and brief. So make sure that you've shift clicked at least one bone so that this comes up. This will be like the main one we're controlling, I guess, or something like that. Most people like to alt click it, but do what you want. I guess just make sure one is the main selected bone or something like that. Also wind, which I guess work with physics objects. Again, I don't know much about this. If this is gravity, now this is really interesting because if we move it down, you'll notice it's kind of affected by gravity a little bit more. I didn't give it much of a gravity thing, but if I make it really high like that, you'll notice it's already drooping a lot more like that, which will be especially good for things like tails. So, let's select more of these. And so here we go. So let's go over some of these. So stiff is, as the name implies, how stiff it'll be. So if we turn this up, it will be a lot more subtle. So those movements are immediately way more subtle than they were before. Now I'm just gonna turn that gravity thing we did down again, back to 1. And stretch again is also I'm gonna turn this back to its default. And stretch is also exactly what it sounds like. It stretches things. So turning this up by 1 uh will probably do too much. And yeah. Also when I say shift click one of these, it's actually like it's only affecting this. It's not affecting these. Or it is, but it's just not right. That's weird. Anyway, I'm still working on this. I just discovered this and I thought it'd be cool to show you. So it also has collisions, which I've not tested out yet. But I mean, hey, first time for everything. So if I put this back to the first keyframe, I'm gonna add a cube for this to interact with. And what I want this to do is I want this to what's it called? Pause mode again back. Easy tab. I want this to kind of like slide along it. Okay. I'm gonna select these and on collisions, I'm gonna click my cube. And then when I play it, you'll notice it's interacting with it. I'm gonna turn down the stretch way more. Maybe something like 0.5. I think the stretch is way too high. However, you can go with whatever sort of style you want, I guess. Again, a little bit too high, so I'm gonna turn that way down. You can play with this as much as you want. I'm just kind of messing around with it here in this video. This isn't a direct tutorial like my other stuff. And yeah, that looks a lot more sane. So yeah, you'll notice it's kind of, it's like, yeah, it's colliding as the thing implies. It's colliding with the object, which is really cool. Especially for if this is something you're applying to the end of all of your animations. Uh, if say, I don't know, you had a character with the tail animation, but to save time, you just apply the wiggle bone stuff afterwards, which is perfectly fine way to do things. You can apply collisions to all of your objects. So going back into pose mode, selecting all the bones. Yeah. And if you want multiple objects to be collidable, you can change this to collection, and any object in that collection should be connected, although I've not tried that yet. I'm pretty sure that's how it should work. And then there's all of these, which I think are for the collision. Yeah, they're like how sticky the surface is or whatever. So again, I think the stretch is just a little bit too high, so I'm going to turn that down to 0.01. And I'm just going to delete this cube. I don't really need it right now. I'll put this back to its uh, default spot. Going into pose mode and setting everything to 0, 0, 0. Back. So yeah, I think I'm. Anyway, I'm stupid. So yeah, we can mess around with this a lot. This very brief. If you want more information, like a really in-depth video about this, Joey Carlino, I mentioned him in my modeling video, I think, has a really good video about this. He goes over literally everything. I only watched like the first 2 minutes of it and figured the rest out myself. But yeah, there's a load of settings on here that you can play about with and learn stuff about. Okay, now if we apply this bone head to this, and this is like the head of the bones, as it says. So the tail. So this is kind of referring to it as if it was a, you were using it as a tail. Uh, it's referring to this stuff as the tail side of things, and this is the head of the tail. So the roots. And sometimes it can be a bit jank. So I think there's some settings you need to do with that. But I find this setup works pretty well just by itself. And if you don't like I said, if you don't like the springiness, you can change the stiff and stuff like that. So yeah, hope that helped. Just real brief. I know I won't make this one of my weekly videos. I'll just post this some point in the week. And it won't be, this isn't the video for the week like I normally do. This is just something that I made because I thought it'd be cool to share with you guys. So yep, expect something else this week because this is pretty late. I won't really edit anything in other than the intro. So yeah, that's all. See ya.